Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to another one of my quick recs, or where I try to make it quick. Usually these videos are still somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes because I can't shut my damn mouth. But as you can tell by the title, today we are doing only one bed recommendations, which is just another version of forced proximity, and it's one that, often leads to lots of fun shenanigans along the way. And funny enough, I already made this list and then I just had one to add to it, so I'm going to start with that rec because I just finished this book today and I didn't even know that it fit into this trope until I was sitting down to film it, because I was like, oh wait, that book that I just finished a couple hours ago totally fits into this. So yeah, let's dive into my only one bed recs. So the one that I just finished was actually recommended by a patron, and it's a book that I just annotated for this person, and it is called Honey from the Lion by Jackie North, and it is a part of this time travel romance series, which is crazy. I'd never heard of it before. I don't think I'd even heard of Jackie North before, at least not in any way that clicked with me. But this starts off with one of our heroes, Lori, spelt like Lori from Little Women. He is going to go to this dude ranch for a week, and it's in Wyoming, and he's going to go there for a week and live like a cowboy before he goes back to his home. So he's planning to do this just for some character building, just for some fun. And he ends up through some magical events, of course, because it is time travel. He ends up in the same area in 1891, and he ends up in the middle of a snowstorm at the door of a railroad worker. Well, he's like a railroad, like not prospector, but he protects some of the railroad's assets basically in this area. That's what he does. Whose name is John, and he lives on the outside of this small little town that is where like the dude ranch will be in the present day. So Lori thinks that he has somehow just stumbled on like a super realistic part of the experience, and he doesn't know how it is all of a sudden snowing or why this guy's calendars in his home all say 1891. And yeah, he basically has fallen into the lap of this man, and wouldn't you know it, it's very cold in this place, and the only place for them to sleep is in one bed that is there. And this had a very sweet relationship. I would say that it's a slow burn, but like the book isn't terribly long. It's under 300 pages. So it's not necessarily like it's a super slow burn to this relationship, but it still has those moments of just like companionship turning into more. And this one also fits into a survival situation and other parts like that, which we just love, And speaking of survival situations, I forgot to grab the physical copy of this one. The other one that I, of course, have to recommend is Last Light by Claire Kent. This is the companion novel to the Kindled series, but I also call it like book 1 or 0.5 in the series because it literally directly connects with the rest of the series. But this one is an apocalypse romance where, man, I always forget her name because I think it's Lainey. Her name is Lainey and his name is Travis, and they are from the same small town, and all of their family is either gone or dead, and they end up traveling together to try to connect with other people from their small town, and they end up sharing a lot of beds along the way, mostly because for safety, it's best for them to always be in the same room and to be protected that way. And so they end up sharing a lot of beds and sometimes a tree stump now and then. But I absolutely love this series. I haven't stopped talking about it in a couple years, and I won't stop talking about it for many more because I just adore this series. But this one definitely has some only one beds going on in it. Then one other Claire Kent that I want to recommend. I don't talk about this series quite as much, but it actually is where I first discovered Claire Kent from. It's just that once I found the Kindled series, that's what I was gone for. So this is called Hold, and this is actually a prison planet romance. This heroine, she's kind of sort of a political prisoner. Like, she does have, like, the government does have a reason for arresting her, but it's really more because she found out some stuff she maybe shouldn't know. And so she gets dropped in this prison, and as she is being dropped into it, she gets warned by one of the guards, your best bet is to find the strongest man here and make an offer to him that you will be his exclusively and hope that he's strong enough to protect you. And so that's literally what she does. There are very, very, very few women there. There aren't even any other women there when she's there. So she is prime property. I don't know another way to say it. That's what it is. And she ends up seeing this quieter, stiller man, and he actually has a cell that he's able to lock himself in and out of. He has his own like private little bathroom in there. But it's still pretty public, and a lot of things they do are still pretty public. But she makes an offer to him, and he decides to take her in, and now she is his prison wife, basically. And there's only one tiny little bed in there. And I really love how Claire Kent, in this series, she writes a lot of transactional sex, which isn't necessarily what you would call, like, you know, sex work, but it also is, but it's also like survival based, and it's fascinating. This whole series has aspects of that, and they're all different types of planets in this one because it is a sci-fi series, so love that one. All right, now we get to go to something a little more fun, but also that involves a snowstorm, because what are situations that involve one bed but snowstorms and survival situations, right? So we have Taste by Melanie Harlow, and this one involves this one, I'll have to look this up. It's Gianni is the hero, and the heroine is Gianni, and it's been a while since I read this. I apologize. And Ellie. Gianni and Ellie. And so they're going to do a catering gig together, and they end up stuck in a tiny little motel where they have to share a bed, and they're there for a couple nights together before they're able to go home. And they kind of call this truce between the two of them. And I mean, they end up messing around. And then this one actually is a surprise accidental baby story. We'll just put that out there. It's literally right on the back of the book, so it's not a surprise. But this is an only one bed scenario that turns into an accidental pregnancy. And yeah, fun times. Then we have a recent favorite for a lot of people, including myself, which is Flawless by Ainsley Silver. I decided to show off my, I think you say this, Piatkus. I don't know how to say it. Pictus. I don't know how it's said. But I was kindly sent these by one of my viewers. They sent me these from the UK. And I do really love these covers as well. But anyway, this one is, of course, the delightful Rhett and Summer. And she is kind of his PR / help from his agent after he has gotten himself in a bit of trouble for his image. He's a bull rider, and so she goes on tour with him, and there's a scenario in this one town that they're in where the heat gets broken in her room, and so she ends up having to share with Rhett, and they end up sharing a bed. And you know, the good old pillow wall gets built, and it doesn't last at all. The pillow wall does not last for shit. So yeah, good times. All right, then we have Does It Hurt? We go into the darker side here for a minute. This one is a standalone by H.D. Carlton. It's actually the only H.D. Carlton that I've read, but I had a really good time with this one. I love to share this. I actually got to meet H.D. Carlton very quickly at Book Bonanza. She had a crazy line. And one of the things I asked her to be unique is I asked her to name the shark, because I really do love the internal formatting of this book. I love the shark for the hero and the lighthouse for the heroine. It's really cool. But I asked her to name the shark, and she named him Jerry. But this one is a crazy one-night stand that turns into the hero wanting to get a little revenge from the heroine stealing money from him. And so he's able to convince her to go out on his boat with him, where he then has an interesting punishment in store for her, and they end up caught in a storm and washed up onto the rocks of this decommissioned lighthouse out there. And there's a lighthouse keeper who is a little bit cray-cray, and they aren't going to be able to get help until his like monthly, I think it's his monthly, like someone comes by monthly to bring him supplies. I think that's how it goes in this one. But there's only one room, and they actually get like locked into their room at night, which is crazy. And there's only one bed in it. So there you go. Surprise, surprise. Shocker. You know, when that's the trope that we're going through, right? All right, then we have another one that I love quite a lot, which is, I skipped one, sorry, Twisted Hate by Anna Huang. Now this one only has one bed for a very like small part of the book, which a lot of these do. Some of them it's a bit more like extensive, but it's usually a single scenario within the book. And this one comes when Jules and Josh go on a like friend vacation. I mean, they're not close friends at all. She's friends with his sister, and they go on this like friend trip with some other friends in the friend group, and they end up needing to share a room at the ski resort, and there's only one bed in the ski resort. But this one is a, you know, best friend's brother, but also like hate between them, granted the twisted hate. This one has some of the hottest sex scenes that I had read in the year that this book came out. Like, it was good. Well, Josh kind of ruined it for me a little bit in the third act conflict of this one. This is still a really good showing from Anna Huang, and yeah, I enjoyed it quite a lot. She's a very talented writer. I enjoy her. Then we have the lovely Resting Witch Face from Juliet Cross. Look at this absolutely lovely art we have in here. This is the 5th book in the series, so I mean, I do suggest you start at the beginning. That would be smart. But this one is a second chance romance, and it involves a witch and a vampire who they had their chance many years ago. I think it's supposed to be 12 years ago in this. They had their chance, and it didn't work out. They couldn't be together, couldn't make it work. But now, 12 years later, Ruben has been biding his time, waiting for an opportunity to prove to Jules that not only has he changed, but they're meant to be together. They're fated mates. They're meant to be. And so there is an opportunity where they need to travel around to different groups of supernatural people to make a pitch to help out the werewolves with something. And they end up having to stay at this small little B&B the one night, where there also happens to be a like sexual retreat happening, which is just hilarious. And they end up needing to share a bed. And of course, things get a little bit fun and crazy when that happens, for sure. All right, then there is Sailor Proof by Annabeth Albert. This one is a brother's best friend, and it's an MM military romance. Well, one man is in the military anyway. And this one involves a naval chief who he has broken up with his boyfriend, who was another like someone on the ship with them, and they're going to be coming into port. And his his ex-boyfriend is going to be getting a warm welcome from his partner, and he doesn't want to be embarrassed by this. And so his best friend offers, hey, my brother will be your fake boyfriend when we make sure. All you need to do is go up to him and like pretend to give him a kiss or give him a hug, and it'll seem like you have a new boyfriend too. Very weak start to that. Like, the scenario is like very weak, but you know, I guess at the same time you could say it was men wanting to save their pride, which we can absolutely believe that they will. And it turns out that this brother's best friend, or his best friend's brother, has had a thing for him for a long time, and his attraction to him is actually what kind of led him to think he might be gay or bisexual, which he ends up being gay. But he, you know, the naval chief, he remembers him as being kind of like a nerdy, you know, he was in band, and so he was, you know, all that stuff going on. But when he sees him again, he's like, oh wow, he's actually gotten pretty attractive. And so they end up not only having that fake moment at the dock, but then someone takes a picture of them kissing there, and it ends up getting like shared around. So now, instead of it just being a moment where they were going to pretend like just to stick it to that other couple, they now, like, their families now know. So they need to like continue the fake date for a bit longer than they'd wanted to. So they got themselves in a bit of a pickle, and our naval chief ends up getting invited to the family vacation for the weekend. So they're like, okay, well, we'll just pretend to date for this weekend. And of course, since we're dating, they gave us just one room with just one bed, which leads to some, you know, fun stuff happening as we go. So then I have 2 historicals to share with you. So the first one here is from the Gilded Age Heiresses series. So this one is Violet Crenshaw and Christian Halston, and he's the Earl of Lee. And this is really all about him kind of maneuvering a situation where he can have them be trapped together. And so he needs an heiress to rebuild his Scottish estate. And so he kind of makes it, well, not kind of, he makes it so they end up stranded together. And then, you know, they end up sharing a bed when that happens. But he either, like, his plan is to, like, ruin her so she has to marry him. But really, they end up, like, falling for each other, you know, like, well, this is all happening. And instead, he could have just tried to woo her instead of, like, steal her. But he didn't think her parents would go for it. So he ends up, you know, getting himself in a bit of a pickle when he tells some lies to get him into this situation. And then we have an absolutely delightful romance from Elisa Braden. Yes, Elisa Braden, where are you, ma'am? Where are you? Write us some more books, okay? Okay, all right. Well, this one was number 4 in the Rescued from Ruin series. And this one, we have the Marquis of Rutherford, and he is in debt, and he's down to his last farthing, and he needs to marry or risk everything. And then we have Miss Charlotte Lancaster, who she's an heiress, but she hasn't been able to find anyone to marry. She's had 5 London seasons, and she wants to leave England and go to America. And I believe she'd kind of promised her dad if she didn't end up getting married at the end of that, he would let her go. But instead, her father kind of pushes her into this. But her father says if you are married to him for a year and you don't want to stay, then you can have your freedom, and I will support you going to America and give you the money to do what you want to do there. But the rules are that for her father to save this Marquis, he must be faithful to her. So even if they're not having sex, he's not having sex then. And he needs to be sober for this year. And if he does those 2 things, her father will make a good show of helping him get his estate out of this state that it's in. So yeah, this one is a really fun one. And this one was maybe my favorite one in the series. There's 2 that I loved the most, and this is one of them for sure. So obviously you can get from that, there's 1 bed involved with them having to be faithful, and there's only 1 bed in the place basically. So there you go. Those are my recs for only 1 bed. Let me know some of your favorite. I may have made this video before as well. I don't know. Or maybe I mixed it in with another forced proximity. I'm sure I linked some other forced proximity books up there if you're interested in those. And yeah, tell me your favorite only 1 bed. And if you're interested in supporting the channel, I put up new videos 3 to 4 times a week. So please check out my Patreon or other options if you'd like to support me here. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.